Skinny fat is one of the easiest body types to completely ruin. If you cut wrong, you'll just end up smaller. If you bulk wrong, you'll just end up fatter. And I know this because I made both mistakes. But there is one method that actually works, and it's something I wish I did when I was stuck skinny fat. In this video, I'm going to give you the exact first step to fix skinny fat. I'll show you whether you should bulk first or cut first, and why most guys get this completely wrong. I'll break down how this method works and why it's the fastest way to reset your body and finally start making progress. By the end, you'll know exactly where to start and how to avoid the mistakes that keep most skinny fat guys stuck for the rest of their life. So what exactly is this magical first step that I'm referring to? Think of your body like building a house. If the foundation is crooked, it doesn't matter how beautiful the walls are or the aesthetic of the house if the foundation is unstable. Skinny fat is the same. If you try to bulk on a bad foundation, you just add fat. If you starve yourself down and you strip away what little muscle you do have, you'll just end up with nothing. You need to reset the foundation first. When I started, I thought the answer was simple. Just cut down hard and lose all the fat. And I did. I dropped a ton of weight. I'm pretty sure I lost 70 pounds in about 5 months. But when I looked in the mirror, I realized that I hadn't actually fixed anything. I was smaller, weaker, and still unhappy. And that mistake cost me an extra 1.5 years of making no progress. That's why the smartest way to fix skinny fat is to start with a mini cut. It's not a crash diet, it's not starving yourself, and it's not endless cardio. It's a short, focused fat loss phase that gets you leaner fast without burning the muscle that you do have. A mini cut usually lasts around 6 weeks, and the goal is to be aggressive enough to drop fat quickly, but short enough to keep your strength and your muscle. So by the end, your foundation is solid and you're in the perfect position to lean bulk, which is the real solution to fixing skinny fat. So now you know the first step, but how do you make sure you don't screw it up? Lucky for you, I'm going to give you 7 tips to run the perfect mini cut. Tips that keep your muscle, strip away fat, and massively accelerate the process of fixing skinny fat for good. And the way I want you to think about these tips is like a 7-a-side football team. Every player has a role. If one is weak, the team's going to fall apart. But if you have all 7, you're going to be strong and you're going to dominate the game. And domination in this context means finishing your mini cut leaner, stronger, and ready to gain muscle the right way. So let me ask you this. Have you ever watched football and then there's no goalkeeper? Like, obviously not, you'd just lose the game instantly. That's what happens when you try to mini cut without a clear time frame. And I made this mistake straight away. I thought that I'd just diet until I looked good, but without an end date, I burnt out and I quit too early. You need to treat a mini cut like a sprint, not a marathon. So set the end date in 4 to 6 or even 8 weeks time, depending on your starting point, and suddenly you can push harder, stay locked in, and actually finish the process. Because if you don't have a goalkeeper in the first place, you won't just lose the game, you'll lose muscle, waste months, and stay skinny fat. And if you're not sure how long your mini cut should last, then grab my free time to 6-pack calculator. It's in the description below. Now we have the goalkeeper in place, we need to build a defense in front of him. Now I want you to think about what actually keeps a defense solid. It's structure. And without that, everything falls apart. Back when I first started cutting, I thought eating less was enough. I dropped weight, but because I wasn't eating enough protein, I didn't just lose fat, I lost muscle too. And that left me looking worse, not actually better. When you're in a calorie deficit, your body wants to break down muscle for energy. However, hitting around 1 gram per pound of body weight in protein every single day tells your body to hold on to that muscle while you strip away fat instead. So if you get this right, you'll finish your mini cut looking leaner, stronger, and athletic. But if you get this wrong, you'll just end up looking smaller and even more skinny fat. So now in the team currently, we have a goalkeeper and a defender. So let's add another defender. Some defenders don't just stand there, they set the tone. They win tackles and they hold the line. So without that toughness, the whole back line crumbles. In a mini cut, your body is under pressure. If you don't send the right signal, it will happily sacrifice muscle because it's too expensive to keep. So how do you make sure that your body protects that muscle? Well, you basically have to make sure and prove that it's essential. And the way you do that is by training hard and training heavy. You need to push close to failure and show your body that strength is a non-negotiable. Because if your centre back completely collapses, the whole defence is going to collapse. And instead of finishing leaner and stronger, you'll finish smaller, weaker, and just looking softer. And to finally complete the brick wall at the back, we need another centre back and a solid centre back that stops the opposition from breaking through. In the mini cut, cravings are your opposition. They'll hit you late at night after a long day when willpower is the lowest. If you can't defend, eventually they'll break through, and one binge can undo days of progress. So what's your wall? Well, it's a bit controversial, but it's stimulants. So think about black coffee, Diet Coke, sugar-free gum. They don't build muscle or burn fat directly, but they buy you something more important, and that is control. Because if you can defend against cravings, you stay in the game, and if you can't, you'll never even finish the mini cut. We have the defense and the goalkeeper sorted, and now we need to move on to the midfield. Midfielders are there to control the flow of the game, and without control, everything turns chaotic. In a mini cut, you're eating less food and hunger creeps in. If you don't have control, then you'll get distracted, frustrated, and eventually you'll give in. So how do you keep control? That's where a midfielder comes into play. High volume foods such as potato, oats, fruits, vegetables, Greek yogurt and protein powder. They're low in calories but big in volume, which means that your stomach feels full, your mind stays focused, and you can keep possession of your diet. Because if your midfielder disappears and goes tracking up the pitch, hunger's going to take over, you're going to lose control, and the whole mini cut is going to collapse in on itself. And when you look at midfields across football, they work in unison, but they're different types of players. So the midfielder we're going to add in is now an engine, a box-to-box player who's never going to stop running, going to cover every blade of grass, and it's going to keep the game alive. And this ties into a mini cut because fat loss comes down to energy balance. Most guys think the answer is hammering cardio. And yeah, you're going to burn calories, but you can also burn yourself out. Your recovery tanks, your training suffers, and suddenly the mini cut feels impossible. So how do you keep burning energy without burning yourself out? That's where steps come into play. Hitting 8 to 10k steps daily keeps you moving, burns calories, and it doesn't kill your recovery. Because if you rely on cardio alone, you'll run out of steam and you'll never make it to the final whistle. And now we've pretty much built the whole team, but we need the final piece. We need the striker that's going to put the ball in the back of the net. And the striker's there for a reason. It's to score. And without goals, you can't win the game. It's the same in a mini cut. You can protect muscle, hit your steps, and control your hunger, but if you're not losing fat at the right pace, then you won't see the results that you're after. Most guys diet too slowly. They'll lose half a pound in the first week, they'll lose a pound in the next week, and then they'll weight a completely stall in the third week. And this drags on for months. And this is how you're going to kill your motivation, and this is how you're probably going to quit before you actually see any real lasting change. So how do you score? Your striker is a fast rate of fat loss, and we're looking for around 2 pounds per week. You want to push hard while hunger is still manageable and strip fat quickly, so then you can move into a lean bulk and it'll be more productive for building muscle. Because here's the thing, if your striker doesn't score, then you don't win. And if you don't lose fat fast enough, you lose momentum and you'll stay stuck. So now you've got the full 7-a-side team for the perfect mini cut, and if you put them all together, you'll finally have the foundation to escape skinny fat. But here's the thing, this is only step one. Fixing skinny fat isn't just about losing fat, there's still a bigger problem that's holding you back. Watch this video next because it's the most important step after the mini cut, and without it, you'll end up right back where you started and wasting years in the same body that you hate.